Hey everyone, it's Julianne Meyer, your host of Own Your Wellness, and we're back again. Happy Monday, everyone. It is almost Christmas time if you celebrate Christmas. And if you hadn't noticed, I'm enjoying my poinsettia here. It's probably the prettiest one I've ever seen in real life. But anyway, I digress. I'm excited because today I have Tristan Helm on my show. And I had the honor and the privilege of interviewing him not once, but twice, actually, for my Live with Joy Summit. And he told me back in the green room a little bit about how he's been growing and changing. So I'm really excited to bring him on and introduce him. So let's just get right to it. And I'm going to bring him on right now. Hey, Tristan, how are you?
Doing very good, Julie. How are you?
Fantastic. It is so good to see you again.
Oh, it's good to see you too. It's been a couple months.
It has. And, as I was mentioning just a few minutes ago, some stuff has been changing in your life, and I'm excited to hear about it. But let's start off with you just describing a little bit about who you are and your own wellness journey and what that means to you.
So trying to think of where to start. It's been a long, wonderful, painful journey. About 5 years ago, I went through a really, really rough time in my life. And I guess you could call it, I hit rock bottom. Like I found myself in a place where I never thought I would be, where me in that place. And I have a very strong faith in my life. And I really found God just saying, you need to go. You need to take care of yourself. And at the time, I had been diagnosed with depression and I had anxiety. And without the diagnosis, it was borderline. If not, it was PTSD. And at the time, I didn't really recognize it. I just thought I was just going through a rough spot. And so I left where I was living and I went to go to stay with a friend in another state. And I'm very visual. Like I love analogies. The Bible talks in so many parables. And so visually, I saw myself as I crossed the border to another state, like I was having engine trouble and the hood was now up and the mechanic could do work on me and we could figure out what was really going on. And at the time, I'd kind of been dabbling with spending time by myself. I was getting used to the idea of, you know what, let's just find out who I am. Let's get through the nitty gritty and let's dig down deep. And I can recall so many nights sitting in my house by myself, lights are out, music's playing, and I'm just sobbing. And I'm just thinking, what brought me here? Anyways, I'm in church and I'm just kind of going through the motions. And all of a sudden I feel this surge of energy just kind of rush in me. And rush out of me. It was just like, I remember I looked around and I went, it's gone. I'm not angry. I'm not depressed. And I was just completely overfilled with joy. And I had a very good friend of mine. She helped me get a massage. And when I'm leading to this is what really started my journey. The lady who gave me a massage said, like, I had a lot of issues in my back. And my friend kind of verified that, yeah, this is why. It's because of stress. Then I kind of finished what I was doing, staying down there, and I came back home and I really began working and focusing on myself. Like I started doing things I never did. I started watching what I was eating. I started listening to the right type of stuff. I started reading different books. I just kind of not really selfishly focused on myself, but I started focusing on what made me better, what would help me. And back 8 years ago, I started this network marketing and I got into public speaking a little bit. I really enjoyed the whole Les Brown, Eric Thomas, Zig Ziglar thing, and kind of that fell away from it. And I found myself drawing back to that. Like I went back to listening to these people and reading these books and really just studying myself. It got to a point where I felt capped, like there was more for me, but not where I was at. And I felt God say, time to move to Texas. And I was like, not today, Satan. Like, I was like, not happening. Absolutely not. I've got everything going for me right here. And I was like, no, you're going to go to Texas. I'm like, all right, well, I'll pray about it. I'm telling God that. But anyways, I come into Texas and I spent a lot of time getting to know who I was, like on a much deeper level. Not only a reinvented self from my previous depression, but now what is going to make me whole. And it's not having a wife, it's not having kids, it's what makes me feel like what I'm doing on this earth is what I'm called for. And so my wonderful, loving, beautiful, adoring wife who's watching, she's into medical massage therapy. So she's all into the physical aspects as well as a nutritionist. Well, me, I started digging into the mental aspect. And so together, it kind of combined this holistic treatment of what contributes to a person's health, what contributes to their life, what takes away from their life. So then I began studying more into mental health, and I got a job as a mental health professional, which I'm still doing. But as I'm working with people, I'm learning a lot about myself.
Yep.
And not so much in like, oh, that makes me feel good about myself. It's like, oh, that's something I need to work on. That's a wound. Because I'm very, just by nature, I like to look at myself and really reflect as to what issues do I need to work on. Like I can't fix anybody, but I can fix me. Like if I can't do anything for anybody, I can work on myself and become healthy. That much I can do. And so I started paying attention to what people were going through. I started off working in the homeless community. There's a book called The Same Kind of Different as Me. And it's
I like that title.
Oh, it's a beautiful movie, but it's essentially about this very rich art dealer and a homeless man becoming best friends and how they change their community. Well, I'm working on East Lancaster in Fort Worth, Texas, where it all took place. So I got to talking to all these people and what they were suffering through. And I'm like, I know that feeling. So that combined with what my wife was studying and what I was studying, I really began to dig even deeper into depression, anxiety, PTSD, bipolar, the way chemicals respond in the body, the way your mind send chemicals to the body, which then get projected out. Like I really began paying attention to how I felt whenever certain things were happening. Like I would pay attention to my triggers, thinking, oh, that made me uncomfortable. Why? All they said was this. But then I'd remember that reminded me of something somebody else said long ago. And I never healed from that. That's why that wound is fresh. So the more I began becoming aware, the more I was able to, for lack of better terms, holistically take care of myself, to really dig into how can I help people by becoming the best part of me. Like the more I get to know me, the more I understand my passion. The more I understand my passion, the more I can implement it into helping people. And so I began paying attention to my emotional, my spiritual, my mental, my physical, all aspects, to where if I ate certain things or watched certain things, that I would it would click. Something's not right. Something's off right now. And I'd have to kind of take a step back and I'd evaluate. Okay, that's why. And then I would evaluate, what can I do to change that? So again, it dug the roots into my passion, which is helping people find out where their biggest issues lie and then helping them find the best in themselves. Because I try to be as realistic as possible, but I'm ridiculously optimistic. Like finding the light in all dark, finding whatever I can to make the most of it. And I paid attention to what I was eating. Like when I was eating sugary things, I would go down if I didn't have enough sugar in my body. So then I started, my wife and I started this keto carnivore, mainly focusing on meat, and I had more energy. I slept better. I would wake up in better moods. I could get up and I could stretch and meditate a lot easier. I was more motivated to do the things that I really wanted to do. I didn't feel that sluggishness. And anytime I had bread, anytime I had sugar, I'd feel like this zap of energy just start to pull away from me. And I would just, and so it was like, okay, I'm eating this and I feel great. I'm eating this and now I'm feeling grudgy and nasty.
Yeah.
Again, it was all about being consciously aware of every part of my life, the emotional, the spiritual, the emotional, the physical, and just taking care of myself. So that way, whatever's in me can come out to other people. Because essentially, whether we want to admit this or not, whatever's inside will come out. One way or another, it will manifest. And if we're holding on to pain, we're either going to walk around with a victim mentality, always being hurt by everything, thinking everybody's doing this to us, or we're going to walk around saying, I don't want people to go through what I went through. I've healed. Now I want other people to heal.
I love that.
It's just about paying attention to what's inside of you. So what comes out is nutritionist or nutrition. It's helpful to other people, I guess, for lack of better terms.
No, I love that. You know, it takes a really strong person to genuinely look at themselves and start paying attention. I mean, most people don't. And it took me a long time to get to the place where I was willing to do that myself. So I love that you're talking about that, because everything does matter. People tend to think of things as separate, you know, like food doesn't necessarily affect how you're going to sleep or your mood, you know, but that's so not true. I mean, think about, you know, if you don't have your cup of coffee in the morning, well, not maybe you or myself, but certain people are thinking, you know, I need my coffee, otherwise I can't function. And they're wondering, you know, they still don't think that food and all that has something to do with their mood. It's just shocking to me. So,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask you though, because of COVID, and especially in California, we're getting the wave pretty bad right now. So, yeah, it's pretty gnarly right now. So there's a lot of people that are home, and now all of a sudden they are with themselves. And so things that they've been able to avoid are coming up. And so now, whether they're ready to or not, they're looking at themselves. What kind of advice would you give, just in general, because I know you don't necessarily know who you're talking to, but in order to walk through it a little bit easier, what would you recommend?
Oh, I can sum that up. This is something that I've really been kind of thinking about, is treat yourself like you would give grace to a child. I have a 2-year-old all the way up to I have a 14-year-old, and they're all at different stages. And I have to be careful with how I interact with them all together and separately. But I'm not surprised if my 2-year-old son, which he recently did, puts a rubber ball in my toilet and clogs up my toilet. I'm not going to get mad at him. He's a boy. He's curious. So when I say that, is we need to be mindful of a few things. Anytime you evaluate yourself, be aware you're going to find things you don't like. And then be graceful and allow yourself to either grieve through it or to process it, but allow yourself permission to come out of that and say, it's okay that I have this flaw. It's me. It's what I've been through. I just have to work through it. And if you can give yourself the grace you would give to a child who's just learning how to walk, who's just learning how to talk, and who's just learning their ABCs, you will find that you're going to be more patient. You won't feel ashamed. You won't feel disappointed. You'll understand, well, this is what happened to me, and I have to deal with this, and that's okay. Like, I think we're too hard on ourselves. I was driving today and I was like, you know what? One of the worst things a child can do is grow up. And then I got to think, well, that's harsh because we have to grow up. But I just mean, like, think about when you're a child. You don't worry about when you're first walking. You don't feel bad and you don't shame if you can't walk the first. You're just a baby. It's just, oh crap, I lost my balance. I'm gonna get back up. You have an infinite amount of energy and creativity, and there's no walls, there's no limits. Like, everything is possible. Like, you tell a child, here's $100. What do you want? I want to buy a house. There is no limit. They don't beat themselves up over anything unless someone does that to them. But a child in their most healthful or healthy nature, they're not going to beat themselves up. They're just going to learn and grow. Like, they might cry over their wound, but they'll get up and walk. They're not going to be afraid to get on a bike again because their mom and dad are going to push them to get back. Like, they're going to grow. And if you can do that with yourself, if you can be patient with yourself and loving to yourself, then you will allow so much growth in your life. And you'll step out of this programmed, triggered victim mentality to, I'm awake and I'm alive and I love life. I don't care that I make mistakes. I'm a human being. And it's just, it's that transition. And unfortunately, it normally takes something traumatic and something devastating to wake us up and let us see, oh my, there's a lot going on I did not notice before. Proverbially take that red pill and really begin looking around at our life and evaluating, this is what's going on and this is okay, but I can't do this. I can't stay injured. I have to heal because I don't want my kids walking around watching me and then thinking that that's how life is. I can't grow old like this. I'm not going to even get that old. Yeah. If anything really affects my health, emotionally, spiritually, physically, emotionally, or mentally, then I want to be aware of what I'm watching, what I'm listening to, what I'm reading, what's going on around me, what I'm eating. Mm-hmm. I want to be aware so I can be healthy, so I be truly happy. And so I guess that's my long-winded answer. Treat yourself like with the grace of a child. It's okay. Everyone has had issues. Everyone's had bad things. You just have to find a way to work through them and be graceful with yourself. Love. If someone can learn to love themselves, I personally feel like 90% of the issues would dissipate.
It's funny how most people, myself included, tend to be our own worst critics. And it's like, I would never allow somebody else to speak to me the way that I speak to myself sometimes. I've gotten a lot better about it because I do understand the importance of showing myself grace and being kind to myself and, everything else. But I mean, if beating myself up made me better, then I'd be perfect by now. And obviously that didn't work. So I definitely had to give up that idea. Something though that you said that I want to touch on is the idea of what you ingest and is important. And I'm not even necessarily talking about food. And neither are you. And I just want you to talk a little bit more into that because to me, it's really important. Your mind is powerful. And a lot of people don't really understand the power of their own brain. And they don't think it matters if they're watching the news nonstop or, some sort of murder show right before bed or, but all of that matters. And I would love for you to talk into that a little bit.
So again, I'm very visual. And I'm very careful about when I talk about God because I don't ever want to push my faith onto anybody else. But it's what I know. It's what works. I've seen it help millions and thousands of people. So it's pretty concrete. Mm-hmm. But there's a verse that says, it's not what comes into a man that defiles him. It's what comes out. It said, whatever a man sees, what a man hears, what enters a man goes to the stomach and is destroyed. Well, if it's coming in these portals, through my eyes and through my ears, it has to go through what? has to go through my heart.
Mm.
And it filters into my stomach and then it's destroyed. Well, then it kind of messes with my heart. So everything I see, everything I hear that I'm not guarding myself,
Mm-hmm.
then if I don't find a way to emotionally release it, and as my wife and I, one of our favorite words is decompress, to get it out voluntarily, it's going to eat at our heart emotionally. And like you're talking about, like the brain is infinitely powerful and just as limited.
Yep.
It's literally whatever we make it. The way I was taught, I don't know where I got this. I don't know how I got this, but all I remember is the teacher telling me that your brain sends messages to the body. So I always picture little Post-it notes going to my arm saying, reach for this. So I always pictured like that's how my body moves, is what my body tells it, or what my brain tells it to do. Well, then I discovered that that was neurotransmitters. And this book I'm reading, and it's called Get Better Fast and Make It Last by Daniel Amen. He says, your body responds to every single thought you have. And it responds, not just reacts, but it responds. It acts out. It projects. It somehow, knee jerk or not, it comes out in your body. And so if I've got a lot on my mind and I don't decompress, or I watch something that is, I want to say, not the healthiest, then that's going to go into my system and it's going to affect my body. And if I've learned anything from my wife, I've learned like your body holds more memory than your brain does.
It really
brain, like, yeah, it's like this is your hard drive and everything else is just kind of catching the flack from it. And so your brain gets on the stress and it sends the body, or sends a message to the back like, here, hold this. I'm packed. Here, take this. And then you get knots in your back. And you're like, oh, I don't know why my back hurts so bad. And you're like, oh, I've got all these knots. I can't move. Well, think about the stress. Think about what you're dealing with. Think about what you're watching.
Well, have you read the book, The Body Keeps the Score? I think you would actually really like that one.
I've heard about it. And
Yeah.
I understand it's kind of a lot of everything I'm saying, probably a lot more, but in layman's terms, yeah, it takes note of everything.
It really does. And the other thing too about the brain that people don't really realize is it's actually pretty literal.
Yeah.
So if you might be joking and say, oh, I'm such an idiot, your brain hears I'm such an idiot. That's what it hears. And like you said, then, it's going to send that to all through you. And I mean, did you notice that when you started paying attention to your thoughts and how your body responded to different stimulus? To me, when I was going through that, like in a major way, I was tired a lot because there's a lot of paying attention. Was that your experience? Did it get easier for you? I mean, what was it like?
So think of it like this. Whenever you go from eating junk food to watching your diet, your body goes through a detoxing phase where like your face will get real greasy for a while. You'll start having more frequent bathroom breaks. You'll break out in acne, which stress causes that too, by the way. I learned that. But it's detoxing. It's getting rid of all those chemicals that your body adjusted to. But whenever you get out, it's like when someone quits smoking, once they get past that hump, that period, it's like a refreshing comes through. And now all the old stuff is foreign. So like now I can't even drink pop. If I have pop, I'm just like, ugh, no, too much carbonation. I can't even have carbonated drinks now because that fizzy stuff is just ugh. But yeah, it just and the same goes for your mentality and your emotional. Is the more you start focusing on that, it's rough because stuff starts to surface. You'll start crying, or you'll have outbursts of just like, oh, why am I so angry? Because it's coming out. But whenever you work through it, it eventually leaves you and you start feeling more alive. You'll start feeling more relaxed. You'll start noticing like, oh, there's tension. I didn't feel that before.
Yeah.
Okay, let me stretch for a while. Let me ooze fraba. Let me listen to some music. And so, like my wife and I now, every time we go to bed, we play a certain music, like melodies that we'll go to sleep to, and we sleep pretty good now because your brain responds. And there's three main parts of the brain. Anytime you receive information, it goes to the amygdala. Amygdala sends it to the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus then sends it to the adrenaline glands. Okay. Here's where it gets tricky. Your hypothalamus doesn't know reality from fake.
Yep.
Hence, anxiety attacks, fear. It doesn't know that that's not really going on. It doesn't have any clue that there's no danger. So then it triggers that fight or flight mode in the, oh my goodness, my brain stopped. It triggers that fight or flight mode, and your body tenses up, getting ready to fight or getting ready to go. Just like, okay, but you can only do it so long. Well, so then what happens? Getting tired.
Yep.
You can only hold that fight, that fight or flight mode, which I'm trying to think of it. For some reason, I can't. It's not triggering. I'm hoping my wife will comment. She's watching. But it's two states of the body where there's relax and then there's fight or flight. Well, anyways, because it doesn't know the difference between real and fake, and you don't know what's going on, you stay tensed up, you stay angry, you stay fearful, you stay panicky, and you get fatigued really fast. Because what happens to the adrenal glands? They get emptied. You know, and think of it like sprinting. If you're running, I can run for a few miles before I really start getting out of breath. But if I'm sprinting, my goodness, maybe a quarter mile, maybe a block, and I'm done because I'm exerting so much energy all at once rather than through time. And so it's whenever you're aware of what's entering your body, and you can, oh, okay, that would normally make me anxious. Let me do a reality check. Let me evaluate. I'm not in danger. I'm safe. I'm okay. Breathe. Let me slow down my triggering response. Now it goes to the adrenal glands and it starts coming through the body slowly.
Yeah.
Now I'm on a marathon. I'm not sprinting. Now I can go longer. Now I'm building longevity. I'm building stamina. So now the next time I get triggered in the same way, I'm not in fight or flight response because I just trained my brain to be calm.
Exactly. And then you build different neural pathways as well. So it becomes more automatic as you change the way you think. So yeah, I love that. We do have to go to commercial break. So I will be back with you in just one moment. All right, Tristan?
All right. Looking forward to it.
So yes, Tristan's here. Yay. I'm so excited. I just love his knowledge and how he shares with the rest of us. So let's just get to commercial break, and that way we can come back even sooner. Be right back. everyone. We are back again. So before I bring back Tristan, I do want to say hello to everybody who's watching us live. Hello, hello, hello. I tend to get so excited about what I'm talking about with our guest of the day that I always forget. So I just want to make sure that I get the chance to say hello to everyone. And let's just bring back Tristan and continue our conversation. Hey, Tristan.
Hey, long time no see.
I know, right? It's been like 3 minutes. So, you remembered, right?
Yes. Okay, so your body operates in different compartments. Okay, you got your conscious and your subconscious. Well, the other part is the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. Okay, the sympathetic is the fight or flight. That's when it goes to the adrenal glands, and your body's like, "All right, what's up? Let's go." Parasympathetic says, "No, no, no, calm down. This is okay. Everything's fine. There's no reason to freak out." And whenever you learn what's being triggered, you can learn to counteract it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you said it right before the break, and it was like yes, that's the point. And it's your body and your brain are only going to do whatever you train it to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only going to respond what it's been told for so long. So like the first 7 years of your life, you're in like sponge mode.
Yep.
You take in everything. And then from that point on, it's like, okay, this is the programming now. And then usually it takes a traumatic event or something just really disruptive to like a virus to come in and mix all that up. And it just stirs everything. And then it's like, okay, so you're going to respond like you always do? Or are you going to respond better? Are you going to train yourself and learn from it? Or are you going to do what you've always done and get what you've always got? And so whenever you learn, okay, this is my sympathetic nervous system. Okay, calm down. Calm down. This will be okay. And I learned this through, I had multiple nights waking up in like freak out panic attacks. Like I woke up almost every hour freaking out about whatever was going on in my life. And I started talking to myself going, okay, calm down. You're in your house. Your bills are paid. You're safe. What can you do about it? And I said, well, I can't do anything. All right. So can you do something about it later? Yes. What can you do? Well, I can do this. All right. So at 9 o'clock, we'll do that. Right now, we're going to go to sleep. Okay. And so I'd fall back to sleep eventually. Now, if I wake up, I'll look around. I'll say, there's nothing I can do about it. And I'll go right back to bed. Rather than getting up, having to pace, get me some water, go to the bathroom, try to do something to just switch my mind.
Yeah.
I've now trained myself to, or I'm training myself to just relax. It's okay. It doesn't need an immediate response. And if it doesn't need an immediate response, the body can relax and wait and think before doing anything.
You know, something that I'm hearing you say that I really want to like make it an extra point, put an exclamation point on it, is that you are aware that you are not your feelings. And so you're feeling them, but you are not them, and you are not your emotions. So the fact that you take the time to talk to yourself in that way, it's like you're parenting your thoughts, you're parenting your emotions, you're parenting that, like giving yourself grace of a 2-year-old. So I just wanted to point that out, because a lot of us get stuck in this where we think we're these, emotions, and we think that it becomes so real, like you were saying. But you sit there and you really think about it. It's like, okay, I'm in my bed. My bills are paid. I've got food in the fridge. My family's safe. All of these things. It's like, okay, I can deal with this tomorrow. There's nothing I can do about it right now. And the fact that you're aware of that it's just a conditioned response and you can change a conditioned response. So it does take a little practice. It does take, repetition. It does take paying attention. But I love that you talk about that, because especially with the way things are now, if people could just remember that one thing, it would make such a huge difference in the day-to-day lives of people. So I just want to say thank you because that is freaking cool and I love it. So there's a question that I love to ask everyone, and I'm curious what this is for you. And I think that I asked this to you about 3 months ago when I interviewed you. But things have changed and life has changed. So I'm curious, what is it that you do on a daily basis to keep your mind, body, and spirit fit?
Oh, yeah, man. You talk about my thing, man. This is my passion right here. Well, part of my passion is I take time for myself. Like, I now have a thing that I don't sleep past 7 o'clock anyways, but now I've kind of backed that up to I'm up around 5 or 6. Yep. The best thing about being up around 5 or 6 is no children. So now I come in. Our church has a daily blog where we read a chapter of the Bible and we blog on it. Well, that's my time. That's my first thing I have to get done. I don't allow myself to do anything before I do my blog. But I started doing this meditation, and I'll stretch and I will do deep breathing exercises. I'll sit in a way I haven't been able to sit since I was a child, like an Indian style, and
I love it.
I will breathe in and I'll take a breath out. And it sounds like almost melodramatic, like breathe the good in, breathe the out. But it really works. Like, it seems corny, but it works. And then so the rest of my day is now calmer. And of course, I like to say, okay, God, what do you want me to do today? What's on your agenda? What are things that going to place you as my priority? I don't want to live my life responding to everything. I want to be intentional. Like you said, I'm not my emotions. Just because I feel a certain way, that doesn't mean the situation's true.
Yeah.
Just because I have an emotion doesn't mean I have to do something about it. And what we do as human beings is we place our emotions at the steering column and say, oh, I'm angry. Let's fight. I'm angry. Let's scream. Let's cuss. Let's go do this. Oh, I'm desperate. Let me steal because I gotta have that. Well, just because you feel doesn't mean you got to do. You just say, okay, why am I angry? Okay. And it just, so I've become a lot more intentional about not just what I take in and not just what I let out, but taking time to be calm, where I remove distractions. And like I said, my wife and I, we listen to like it's free. It's Pandora. Just type in sleeping music and it'll play music. And you can set a timer, 15, 30 minutes. The app shuts off so it doesn't run all night. And I'll get up in the morning and I'll turn on music, or I'll do my blog, and I'll just, and I don't want to dig too much into, because I've become a big nerd when it comes to, but like, your response system also is triggered by oxygen. How much oxygen is going in your brain? When you do deep breathing, guess what? You're putting fresh oxygen in there. And when you decompress and you breathe out, you're getting rid of all of that carbon dioxide. So, and I say this because I'm very proud of all 5 of I've got a lot of kids, but I have a deaf child, and he just flips out over everything because he doesn't know what's happening. So now, and immediately he stops. He's fine.
Oh, I love that.
Just once you get oxygen flowing through the brain, you think clearly, you live clearly, you breathe, you see things differently. All from oxygen, just from a natural thing that we do every day without thinking. When we do it intentionally, it's a game changer.
This is something, because I interview a lot of people, and this one thing that always comes up is the breath and breathing. And it doesn't matter what kind of an expert I'm talking to, that always comes up. And the thing that I always like to talk about is, because I guess the reason why I like to talk about it is because it took me a long time to be able to accept it, the importance of it. I mean, obviously I know you need to breathe to live, but you need to breathe to thrive. And, how often, if you think about it, when you're angry, when you're anxious, all of these, negative emotions, you're holding your breath.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Or
that's,
you start breathing fast. Carbon
yeah,
dioxide is still building up.
exactly. And so as soon as I could think about it scientifically in that respect, I was like, oh, that's just logical.
Yeah.
I love that.
But
So,
emotions don't use logic.
yeah. Well, that's the whole point too, especially
Yeah.
when you're upset. I know that goes right out the window. But it's interesting when you can pause and if you do take a breath before you respond, because if you're just reacting to everything in your life, you don't take a breath, you're reacting. So I love it when you take the time to breathe. It gives you a chance to actually think about what your next move is. And it only takes a second. So it's not like you're sitting there indefinitely wasting time than burning daylight or whatever. So
Yeah.
I love that. Or I don't know, you're in Texas, right?
Mhm.
So how's the COVID situation for you there? Are you allowed to go places or is it pretty shut down?
That's a tricky question because most places are open now and they require masks.
Yeah.
Because right now Texas is getting a lot of flack for our spike. But the way things are, it's just we're allowed to make that choice. Now, when it first started, a lot of businesses shut down for a while, and it's understandable. They want to just make sure that it's not getting out there. It's not affecting everyone. People just want to be safe. There's nothing wrong with that. So it's a lot of places are open. They're just highly wanting people to just keep their distance and wear their mask and be safe.
Gotcha. So the reason why I'm bringing it up, and besides it being an elephant in the room, is a lot of people don't get to spend time with their family this season, this holiday season. Or, if you're in California, you know, um, for example, I was working as a personal trainer full time. That job is gone and it's probably going to be gone forever, at least at a gym. So, because by the time it reopens, I'm off to something else. But my point though is, what would you recommend to people or suggest to help them feel not only in touch with other people, but to not start taking on all of these negative thoughts and emotions because of not being able to do what they would normally do?
Well, this is going to be painful for me to say this because it's something I'm dealing with, but change is not always a bad thing.
Yeah.
How often do we spend the holidays by ourselves? And I get it. I mean, there is bad stigma on it, but stigma is just whatever the whole population believes. Why is it wrong? Like I've spent up until moving to Texas, I have worked virtually every Christmas, every Thanksgiving, every New Year's. So it's like, all right, this is just another day for me. I care about what's going on, but just a day. I got to work anyways. That doesn't stop me. It wasn't until I moved here that I was like, I'm going to change things up. My holidays are going to be a big deal. But I guess in saying that it's okay to spend the holiday by yourself, just with your immediate family. It's not tragic to not be with your family at this time. Things can be rescheduled. You can do Zoom meetings. You can do Facebook chats. Like, it's not the dream situation, but you know what? You can always make the best of it. Like I said, your body responds to your thoughts. Your emotions are very, very proactive in your body. Whether you want them to be or not, they're going to respond. Like, I'm scared. Well, why? I don't know. I'm just scared. Like, they're just going to do things. So if you can learn how to just take control of that and say, no, you know what? This is a really good time. You know what? I think on Christmas morning, I'm going to just sit by myself and just enjoy the peace and quiet. And I just, because naturally most people they're social animals. They want to be around people. They want to be around their family. That's okay. That's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. But the other side of that is not bad. It's only bad if that's how we look at it. Like it's okay to just be at your house, to enjoy. It's the situation isn't what needs to change. It's our perspective. And this is where problem. I don't like things to change. I like things to be the way they are. And so I can look at it and say, okay, look, I can respond to this normally, or I can look at it as an opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's virtually, that's what every situation is. It's just an opportunity. You're going to learn what you like and what you don't like, and that's all right. But there's a difference between accepting your reality and making the best of it, and then accepting your reality and just living in it. And the only thing that's different is you. That's it.
Yeah, it's so true. And, you know, there's something that while you were talking or speaking, I was thinking about this. And, you know, something that I've always gotten stuck with in the past in my own head until recently was, but this is true. This is real. Ugh, you know, like this is reality. And I didn't like whatever it was. But, you know, or everybody agrees with me, you know, everybody thinks this is bad. And it's like, yeah, and everybody thought the world was flat at one point. That didn't make it so, but everybody believed it. So, you know, you don't have to follow what everybody thinks. It just, you know.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to like mention that because, you know, it really does. It's up to you. Instead of, like you said, like those people, because up until recently, I would have had to have spent Christmas all by myself. And then I'm hearing you talk. I'm like, oh, yeah, there is Zoom. Oh, yeah, I could make it a special day just for me, just because it didn't look the way that I would want it to. I could do something that would be amazing just for me instead of sitting there going, wah, wah, wah.
I think it's like I said, there's that thin line. And if you really pay attention to people, to life, circumstances are going to come and they're going to go.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do about them. I read this book. I mean, it's probably the shortest book and the most inspirational book simultaneously. It's called A Pebble in the Shoe.
Oh.
And it's about these series of books, these series of shoes who get caught up with something small in their life. And it starts off, they're called the Champion, and it's a pair of running shoes, and they win every competition. But there's this one big race, and there's a pebble in the shoe, and the shoes get so distracted by that they lose the race, and they're now no longer the champion. Yeah. Or there's a chapter in there, and I'm saying like the book's that thick, that big, and it's full of colors. Like it's not more than a couple sentences per page with lots and lots of pictures. It's like very simple. But it says the most important word you can ever say is next. I'm like, okay, so I've heard the page. Next. Okay, this is my situation. Next. What am I going to deal with now? Like, it's okay. Stop being afraid of things not going your way. Accept that you have no control over what's going on outside. If you can learn, and I'm trying to be calm when I say this, like it's some preacher voice coming out. You can learn to control what you have control over, then everything changes. Everything. Your reality changes, your perspective changes, your life changes drastically when you learn to say, you know what? I don't like this, but I like this. And this is going to do its best. We are not going to freak out. We are not going to be scared. We are not going to be depressed anymore.
Yeah.
The best of this. And I say that with high discretion to say it's okay to be sad. It's okay to grieve. It's normal, but we don't have to live in it. And that's what a lot of people do. That's what I did for years. The past is still current. Yeah. And we're leaning on it to live rather than say, okay, I'm healing and I don't need to constantly be like this. I'm allowed to move forward in my life.
Yeah.
I don't like this situation, but I'm going to do the best I can. I will grieve. I will cry. I will get angry, but I will work through this somehow. I will not become a robot. I will not become a programmed response, and I'm not going to follow just because that's what everybody says. I'm going to be okay with this because I am a human being, and you value yourself in that.
I love it. We are almost out of time. Is there anything that you want to say to our audience? What's the best way for them to get a hold of you? Is it through this website or the other one?
Okay, so this website, finding-yourbeauty.com, that is my book that I spent 9 years writing. It is part of my heart and soul. It's about your character, your beauty, how you feel about yourself, how you love yourself. It's a very short, easy read, but my goodness, it changed my life reading it. And I've heard good reviews on it, so I got that going for me.
I love it.
But the other website, which is helmmastery.com, you can either get a hold of me for speaking events or group sessions or even one-on-one. There is ways to get a hold of me through that. That's helmmastery.com. Or my phone number, which you posted a little bit ago.
There it is.
Just text or call and say, hey, you know what, when are you free? But if I can ever close anybody with this is you are not responsible for what's happened to you. You're barely responsible for what you've done up until a certain point. Yeah. What you are responsible for is your awareness. Once you become aware of everything going on in your life, you are now responsible for doing your best to change what's inside of you. Period. So it just learn to accept what you cannot change and change what you can. And when you're aware of everything going on in your life, you now have unlimited power to change your life. And it doesn't matter what happens. After that, you can say, no, this is going to be a good experience. I'm excited. I'm scared. It's painful, but I'm excited because this is going to be a new chapter.
Yeah.
If I can say this, when I'm mentoring people, I love when they're freaking out about the situation. I'm like, no. This is where it gets good. This is the climax of the movie. This is what puts the readers and the movie watchers at the edge of their seat, wondering what's going to happen now. We know it's going to be a good ending, but now it's time to sit at the edge of their seat because now people are watching. You do the same thing with your life. I know things are crazy. I know they're out of control, but now is the climax. This is what people, they don't stop reading. They're like, okay, I got to find out what happens. What's going to happen to the story? What happens to the hero? You're the hero. Turn the page and see what happens. So I need to think over that. That's what I get really excited about.
I like seeing you like this. It's fun. Plus, it's fun to see somebody who's passionate about something so important. So I appreciate it. Actually, there's one more comment I want to share with you as well from Aaron. But we are out of time. So I do want to thank you, Tristan. It is always a pleasure to have a conversation with you. I'm glad that we've been able to stay in touch, and I look forward to having you on my show again.
I look forward to it.
Awesome. Well, we'll see you soon. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that's Tristan. Yay. Now you know why I've interviewed him 3 times now. He's amazing. I just love how he simplifies some very difficult things to understand and makes it easy and digestible and gives you little kind of baby steps so you're able to follow. But anyway, it is time for us to go. So I just want to say thank you for joining us live. And for those of you who watch us on TV or after Netflix style, that's fabulous too. I guess until next time, it's been fabulous. We'll see you on Thursday.